Welcome back to The Lifeboat, a podcast where we strive to make a safe space for those who feel alone in their struggles. Today we're going over social media and how it affects us and people around us. With my two guests are Kendall.
Hello.
And Levi.
Howdy.
And with that, we'll get into it. So we'll start off with our first question, which is, what is the holistic or like society's goal of social media?
Well, Kendall, do you want to go first, or?
No, you got that one.
All right, sweet. I think that it is social media is how we connect with others. So I think the purpose of it is for all of us to engage with one another and then share our different culture and ideas. Because the world is vast. There are a ton of us out there. And so I think it's just a great way that we can connect and reach across the aisle to those that we may never, ever be able to connect with.
Yeah, that's valid. I actually really like that. That's better than anything I had.
Sum it up right there.
Really good.
So.
Thank you.
I don't think any of that. I think that's like a really
Sweet.
good start.
That's pretty much the goal.
Yeah, so we'll just move on. How has social media reshaped our lives and our interpersonal relationships? Just like for you personally. Because I know you don't really have social media.
No.
So you have a different take than probably me and Kendall.
No. I guess I could start with that then. Social media for me, I mean, I began in middle school right when I feel like all of us got our smartphones. We all got those phones.
Oh, yeah.
It like not much changed for me until it became a problem for me, which we'll talk about in very much length later. But it just changed me from trying to connect with others to now, instead of going out and talking to someone about what happened the last week, it's I already knew everything that was going on. And so a lot of my relationships became kind of plain and boring, which led me to pretty much delete most of my social media in the end. But yeah, what do you think, Kendall?
I think for me personally, it hasn't affected my ability to communicate with people. It hasn't really affected my relationships, but I can see how it has led people to being so attached to social media that they kind of don't pay attention to what's going on around them. Like when you go to like a party or like a celebration or holidays, like a lot of the times, like I wouldn't be surprised if people are on their phones, not socializing, not spending quality time with people. So I would say I think that's how social media can affect people's relationships. But me personally, it hasn't necessarily affected my ability to go out and hang out with friends or family or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I definitely get that. Like I'm on kind of like the mix of like the two of you. I have social media, but I don't really use it. Like I don't post a lot. But I will find myself on that like scrolling spiral where you just catch yourself. You're like, oh my gosh,
It's the scrolling free fall. You just
like
keep
5
going.
o'clock, it's like, oh my goodness, I've been here all day.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's affected how I interact with people, because I'm like an in-person person, even though I don't like people like that. But I do find like I love in-person conversations. I don't like texting through social media or like finding a way to entertain. Like it's definitely a weird thing. It doesn't affect how I interact with people though.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. I think kind of I have nothing.
You have nothing?
No, I had a thought, but I don't have anything anymore.
All right. Well, with the social media you do have, and like, so how much time do you guys find yourself spending on social media? Because I just talked about, I know the spiral does happen for most people, but like, how much time do you like?
So let's just say I haven't had my the time limit thing on my iPhone, because I actually looked at that today and it wasn't on, so I can't tell you specifically based off of that. But to estimate, like a guesstimate, I'd say like between 1 and 2 hours, but they're all like staggered. It's not like a consistent
across the day.
Yeah, it's not like where I'm sitting on my phone. I'm not sitting on my phone for like 1 or 2 hours just
on. So
I don't do that anymore. I get bored. Yeah.
Like mine was up there, so I had to put a limit on TikTok for an hour, and I do find myself like I'm like the time limit. I'll just type in the password and just go on and just keep scrolling. But I found myself there a lot.
I was definitely there. I had I remember it was like 1 week. It was right after I'd finished college that semester. And I had looked back on the previous week, and it was like 13 hours a day. And it wasn't just social media. It was just on my phone. Like, I was on my phone all day. And it was like texting. It was those lovely added games where you play it for like 3 seconds, and then bam, you've got an ad.
Yep.
And I would just waste away. And so I eventually had a talk with my mentor, and I asked him to set the password, because I did the same thing that you did, Chase, where I'd be on it, and then, time limit's up, and I'm like, screw the time limit.
Yeah, just
I made it. I can do it. And so I just keep scrolling. And so now I have a 30-minute time limit for TikTok. And outside of Snapchat, because I only use that to talk to people now, TikTok is really the only social media I have. And I use that during cardio, because cardio is the worst thing in the world. And so I use that to just kind of make the time go away. But yeah, I think strictly budgeting your time on social media is a very, very healthy thing to do.
definitely. Yeah.
So probably put that time limit on your phone if you haven't yet.
Oh yeah. It's
And
definitely-
find someone that'll
Take the
give you
password
the
for
pin,
you, so you
because
don't
you
find
don't know
yourself
it. Yeah.
Typing that password regardless and
that's
just going back
smart.
to what you were
Didn't
doing.
think about that.
Yeah. It was a lot of trial and error for there.
Yeah.
Right there for me. I went over it way too many times.
Me today, I literally just typed in this like 1, 2, 3, 4. I was like,
See, I just have
Real
my
quick.
like not like the do not disturb, but I have like the sleep thing
Yeah.
on that comes on at 10.
okay.
That's not necessarily the time limit thing, but
like-
I just try to not go on my phone or get notifications or anything at a certain time.
I
Yeah,
get that,
absolutely.
So
And how does that time that you spend on social media affect your productivity, like throughout your day and throughout your week?
well, I would say that's procrastination at
Oh,
its
it definitely
finest.
is.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is. For sure.
So
That's the whole
social
point of
media
it.
has made procrastination like worse, I would say.
Okay, I can agree with that.
I don't know. I was just gonna say overall, I think it could 100% affect your productivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Does it affect you personally, or is it just?
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
I would say like when I come home from work, like I have a desk job, so I sit down all day. But then I also go to school. So, and I have to typically do schoolwork when I get home from work, but
Oh yeah.
my excuse is, oh no, I can just go lay down and get on my phone for just a little bit and maybe do it. And then some days I don't get to do my schoolwork because I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
So that's how it affects me personally, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. With that 13 hours, yeah, absolutely. It ruined my productivity. Like, usually, as a man in the world, I think we are always to have a purpose. And when you spend your entire day without purpose and just aimlessly scrolling and using that to just like, oh, next 5-second clip, next 5-second clip, next one. It like just ruins your productivity. It ruins your social life. It ruins your engagement with others, which leads you to isolation, which we've talked about.
Yeah.
But it, for me, it's that quick step and then bam, you're rolling down the hill for me, because I am very bad at monitoring myself on where is that line and how do I keep it. I'm not great at that. And so for me, it ruins my productivity a lot, very much so.
Okay, I definitely get that. I can concur with that. Like it's so easy to just pick up your phone and just sit there and like, oh, you know what, Instagram's there. I'll be on here for a little bit, and then you end up being there longer than you thought. Then you're on TikTok and all the other social media apps, and it's just when you know you're supposed to do stuff like you said, schoolwork. It can drop productivity a lot.
Yeah, my mind, this is something that I've battled with this last year. Is like I'll be scrolling or whatever, or watching something on YouTube, and I'm like, I'll look back on it in a couple of days, and I'm just thinking like, that was all meaningless. None of that matters anymore. And as I'm growing older and going through college, like, I need to start constantly thinking about things that are going to be meaningful to me, and that things that will help progress my life in a meaningful way. And for me, social media did none of that. It was, we'll talk about all the positive aspects of social media, because there are a ton.
Yeah.
But for me, it really, really put a hamper on my life and productivity. I I wasn't spending time doing the things I should have.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I'll add on to what you said earlier about isolation. You can definitely use social media to contract isolation. Like, it's easy to just seclude yourself from other people because you're focused on something else.
Yeah.
Especially, I know I'll do this a lot, and it's probably not great. If there's a lot of people around me and I'm just not feeling, I'll just hop on my phone and just start.
You look busy,
scrolling.
man.
You're busy, like you're not doing
You
anything.
pop out your phone and you look deep in thought.
So,
you get that brow. Oh,
don't bother him. He's too busy. Like, when they'll walk away, or I'll just use it to walk past people. It's just,
yeah, absolutely.
one of those ridiculous things.
I feel like we could talk about the positivity of social media now that we've slandered it so much.
Okay, yeah. So, what is social media a positive thing, or can it be a positive thing? Let's say that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have a hard time having it be positive just because of the way that I've used it in such an unhealthy way. But positivity, the positivity around social media is huge. It, like we said in the beginning, like the whole goal of social media is to connect us. We are all completely different people with different childhoods. We grew up differently. And so using social media to connect us all is amazing. It's awesome. Like, I don't know if you remember, but I did an exchange trip in high school.
Yeah.
And I had a friend from Germany come and stay with me for 2.5 weeks. And then I went to Germany for the summer.
Yeah.
And he can't text me because it costs him an unbelievable amount of money to text me overseas.
Okay.
Through regular means. And then WhatsApp was just not working for either of us. So the only way we could communicate was through social media.
Yeah.
And so that's the only way I was able to keep up with my friend Felix from Germany was through social media. And then, I used to live in Michigan when I was a kid. And so being able to keep up with my friends in Michigan, see where they are now. Like, I have some friends playing for the University of Michigan hockey team.
Oh,
like,
wow.
it's crazy. But social media is awesome in quite a few many circumstances. I personally failed to be able to utilize it. That's something that I struggle with. Absolutely.
Okay. What about you, Kendall?
Yeah, I would say pros would be the ability to communicate with people around the world, to also share ideas, your creativity, and what else?
No, that's great. Like, I hadn't thought of that much about like sharing your ideas and your art and the beauty of what we all separately create unknowingly, and putting that out there is awesome. Like, that's how social media is how I found my love for classical music, which is actually a little bit weird and cringe, I feel like. But classical music is one of the few things that like makes me tear up every single time. And I've only found it through social media. Like, some of the crazy trending TikTok sounds are like these classical music pieces, and I was able to find it through social media. So absolutely. I didn't even think about that through social media we share art and we share beauty
and like advice. Like, I mean, there's a lot of influencers, I guess you would say, that like share on health and wellness and like, I mean, this like the podcast, like we're able to communicate with people and like share our own life and what we're going through, and sharing how someone else can get through that. And I mean, we wouldn't be able to do this without social media. So those are the pros.
We wouldn't be where we are without it. That's for sure.
I will say I have a love-hate relationship with X, formerly Twitter.
I saw that. That's crazy.
I do love it because I get to see all the stuff that's catered to me. So all my games, I get all my information from that, because I wouldn't know otherwise. Without social media, I'm not going to know what games are coming out this next week, or what's going on in the world around us. They have just the news section, like all the political stuff. Everything's on there. You just go there and just find all your information. So I feel like that's a pro. But also the con of that is, the comments and everybody in there sharing all what they believe.
The readiness of information.
Yeah.
That's huge. Like, getting hot topic, like Ukraine, like everyone knew instantly what was happening. Right. And everyone saw it instantly. And while some of that is very scary, but like, you also know instantly about good things that happen around the globe. Like, instantly, I'm coming up with literally 0 examples of great things that happen around the globe. But just because our world is so surrounded, we like to focus on the negativity of it. But they're like, I don't know, for instance, movies. Like, we all know what movies come out, and
Oh, yeah.
we all love movies. They're all pretty freaking fantastic. But yeah,
Quick sidebar: are we counting YouTube as social media?
I
Yes.
think so. Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
I think so. Because you got
Cool.
like
Fun fact. Sorry, the echo.
quick intermission from John.
Yes, intermission. YouTube is the number 2 most visited website. Period. So yes, I would count it as. A social
Okay,
Yeah, for
definitely.
anyone who didn't hear that, Josh, our lovely editor, just said that YouTube is the number 2 website visited in the world, which I would 100% qualify that as social media, without
Okay.
a doubt. YouTube, everything gets shared. Like you see, you have the comment section, you have the community tab.
Like
you
we were
have-
It's a
saying earlier,
social
how people like
network.
share their
Yeah.
gifts and their art. Like that's definitely a
Absolutely.
okay. Kid, the same thing can be said for YouTube as separate.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
There's
for
a lot
sure.
of cons of social media.
Oh,
though.
yeah, so much.
Tons.
Speaking of cons, I guess I mean real quick, let's list the pros and cons, right?
Yeah.
Chase, you
Do
have
you
any?
have a list of pros and cons?
I have them.
Okay, yeah,
I have
I
my
don't.
list.
I already said my pros, so
Okay, yeah.
but the cons.
Mine, I mean, yeah, mine are connectivity, shared thought, and help from others.
Okay.
Absolutely. Like in the fitness industry, there is a lot of people like to think that there's a lot of negativity around the fitness industry, but from what I've seen, it's like nothing but love for the most part. Like
Okay.
you got absolute units like Sam Sulek who are just built like a tank, and you'd think they'd be the scariest people in the world, and they're just telling you like, hey man, it's all right. This is scary, but you got it. So yeah, there's a lot of help. There's broader discussions with more thought and different perspectives, and then obviously the seeing what your families and friends are up to. Those are all the pros that I've been able to really think about.
Now let's get to the cons. The
All
thing
the
we
fun
hate
stuff.
about social media.
Boo. What do you think, Kendall?
Well, let's see. I mean, there's loss of human connection, like we already talked about.
Yeah.
Comparison is huge, like a huge con of social media. Obviously, the addiction that can come from social
yeah.
media, and then overall just cyberbullying. But that goes back like.
I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that.
I mean, that goes back
once. That
goes
like
back a
a
while.
long
Oh,
time
wow,
ago.
yeah.
But I mean, it's still, it still happens. I
Yeah.
mean, I could tell y'all a funny story that happened to me in middle school when it.
Share.
Yeah,
share.
absolutely. Please.
So I was in like, I think it was 8th grade, and there was this tall, like bigger girl in my class that would kind of bully me a little bit. But Uggs were even
the
more.
lovely Uggs.
Are those the shoes?
The boots,
Ah.
Uggs.
How
Sorry,
dare you
I'm
not
a-
know what Uggs
I
are?
don't. I'm sorry. I'm a little.
Oh, they're perfect. I love
But they were like even more of like they were more in when I was in middle school, and I had these boots that were given to me from my mom, but they weren't Uggs. And this girl took a picture of me in computer class, posted it on social media, and said, "Haha, look at her off-brand Uggs." And I was like, she ended up deleting it, but I wasn't on social media at that time. But someone showed me it on the bus, literally like the same day.
Yeah.
And I was just like, what do you mean? They're just boots. Like, they don't have to be Uggs. Like, what do you
Yeah.
mean?
They're just fun.
So-
They're really comfy boots.
Yeah, like literally.
No, I definitely.
No, absolutely.
So, yeah, cyberbullying, one of the cons of social media.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure. Yeah, cyberbullying was a huge thing when we were all growing up, I feel like. Like now, I don't know if it's people don't care or people just got way tougher skin,
Probably that.
but like cyberbullying when we were growing up was like I could get suspended for it. Like if I were cyberbullying someone, I would get suspended straight up.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was crazy. But nowadays I feel like nobody really cares because it's
I definitely
there's so
think,
much.
especially because of like COVID and all that, and like the isolation. I feel like people
Yeah.
just don't care. They
Yeah.
don't care. They're like, oh wow, you think I suck?
yeah.
Or maybe
Yeah.
we just don't know. Because I feel like it was happening when we were in school, like middle school and high school.
That's a
Oh
good
yeah, that's
point.
true too.
And like,
We are well out of it.
I remember when I would hear like people be like, oh, like this fight happened like in my neighborhood, or this happened like online. Why is it coming back to my principal and all these things?
Right.
And it's like, but now we're not in,
Yeah,
high
we're not
school.
there to
We
be
don't
able
have
to know.
those.
So you
Like,
don't know.
I'm curious. Yeah, please let us know if cyberbullying is still a thing, and then we can figure out how to stop it. But no, cyberbullying. Yeah, absolutely. Those are wise words from Levi. I mean,
Or just don't care.
yeah,
Or just leave it alone.
or be unhealthy and just stop caring about everything.
Yeah.
No,
Don't
that
do
is
that.
that is
Please don't do
horrible.
that.
That's how you
Yeah.
lead to depression and get
Yes.
to a place where I definitely was.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got some more cons for you. I've got
Go ahead.
quite a few.
List them
more.
all.
I see some momentary pleasure. I think is a big one that I experience, especially through TikTok, Instagram,
Okay.
Snapchat. You're scrolling and you're like, oh, I want to see what this is, and then this is, and this is, which leads to a big. I talked about this in isolation a little bit, but it leads to a decrease in your overall dopamine levels, which then makes it harder to be happier. Pretty much, you have to build back up your happiness, which is something that I feel like I can proudly say I'm on the tail end of that. Like I'm getting to a place where I was happier, absolutely. But that momentary pleasure was a killer for me, for sure. Jealousy. I feel like a lot of, I don't know. I mean, I didn't get that jealous of my peers, but I feel like girls would get a lot of really jealous of
Comparison.
The comparison game.
Like, oh, she's prettier, or oh, she's got real Uggs.
Nah.
All those lovely things. But yeah, jealousy, comparison, coveting. I feel like that's another one. Like we want what we don't have.
Okay.
That's a Bible term right there.
I definitely.
But like you see that, like, oh my gosh, Jacob has the new hoverboard. I want that thing. And you start to depreciate what you don't appreciate what you have just because you want what others have. And I think social media just exacerbates that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, there are times where I'm sitting there, I'm scrolling, I'm like, oh, they went there? That was too nice.
Oh wow!
Wish I could go
You
there.
were in Italy? That's
must be
only my
nice.
dream spot.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I feel like that definitely hits people in like the mental aspect when it comes to like depression and anxiety. It's like, that's cool. So glad you got to do that. Wish it could be me. Otherwise, like, and you see it a lot because you're obviously just scrolling through your feed and just seeing people do all these things. Like, especially if you are an isolated person and you see people out having fun and whatnot, you're like, cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you were talking about, I think the last episode, like showing people how like fun life is.
Yeah.
And
That's
like,
one of those
the
things where
opposite
it's
aspect.
the
It's like,
exact
dang.
opposite thing.
Yeah.
Like we were talking in our isolation episode, like when you see a buddy going through isolation, I think something from my perspective that I could have used was someone showing me how fun life is. And it's like one of those things where like, how dare he? Like, why are you showing off exactly how
Flaunting this in
amazing
my
your life
face.
is? And I think this is kind of the exact opposite in the exact same way. Like, you see what someone else does and you're like, you start to become bitter about it and you're like, ooh,
Yeah.
how dare they have fun? But yeah, that, and then with your discussion on like how easily news is spread,
Yeah.
I think false news is also spread just as quickly,
That
if not
would
quicker.
a definite con
Yeah,
of
that
social media.
and like just I feel like this is also tied, like extreme thought and extreme negative thought. Like you have the extreme thought of like, you are running low on gas, and so instead of going to a gas station that's like 50 miles away that you could definitely make it and is way cheaper, you're going to go to one that's a mile away that's 8 times as much. It's like you just jump to the next most crazy thing instead of a reasonable, rational thing, just because everyone's talking about it, and so everyone wants to get their thoughts out there, and everyone wants to be the one that everyone knows and everyone recognizes.
I notice it a lot with like food, because I love just watching food stuff on my feed.
Yeah.
People try a spot, and next thing you know, you're on TikTok. You're like, I tried this spot, blah, blah, blah. Here's my opinion on how this went, and I didn't really like it like that. And then people are like, dang, they sound right. I haven't gone myself, but they sound right, so I'm not going to go. And it's just,
Absolutely. Sweet.
Yeah. And we talked about, like, social media addicting, so let's kind of move on and, like, pivot to that as well. We have this term on our little sheet called terminally online.
Social media.
And I'm going to let you take that because you were the one that brought this up.
So, something that I was lovingly shown a while back is this term of terminally online, which is in some cases a politically charged term, but we're not using it in this context here today. For me, when I think about terminally online, it's those of us that our whole life just completely revolves around social media. Swapping the real world for social media. Like you're giving up all of the pleasure of the real world just for this internet world that we've created. And I think that's kind of my definition of being terminally online, is just being deeply embedded into the culture of the internet, which is its own thing. Because you can get down to like memes, dank memes, all you go down the rabbit hole, become a Discord guy, just go all the way down. And I think, being addicted is that key term for terminally online for sure.
I want to bring this up. It's a little sidebar as well. Like, I think the idea of meta is like terrifying, especially for the aspect of being terminally online.
Break down meta for me.
Like, virtually online, or
everything's online.
Is that what meta is?
Like the Facebook
like,
idea.
The Facebook,
Yeah. So like everything. Oh yeah, that's a terrifying idea to me.
Yeah.
Like Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the Oasis. Like the world's become the Oasis, and then you step out and you're like living in a garbage world. Yeah, that's a terrifying idea
People
for
who
sure.
like think that would be the best alternative opposed to the world we live in now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that, for me, perfectly displays what terminally online looks like in a physical
Absolutely.
form.
Go ahead.
You know what's terrifying? The AI. That's what's terrifying.
Both, for sure.
But, yeah.
For me, AI to me is like, I'm still on the idea like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like it. It's
but
cool.
then you watch those movies and you're like, oh Lord, the time's becoming AI
Absolutely.
taking over the world.
I still have faith in our geniuses, so it's not happening quite yet, but oh well.
So, next question.
Yes, the next question is, we've talked about being addicted to social media and being just glued to your phone, terminally online.
Mm-hmm.
Have either of you tried a social media detox? I know you probably,
absolutely,
But,
obviously.
Here and there. It doesn't last very long.
I've
deleted Snapchat like a few times.
Okay.
And now I still have it, but I've pretty much I don't have like any friends on there besides my best friend and my boyfriend. And that's just because I have all those videos, like memories.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I keep Snapchat.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
But overall, no, I haven't really had much of a detox. Probably have just logged out and deleted the app on my phone. But then like a week later, I would get it back.
Oh yeah.
And is that because like you feel like you needed it back, or just there was no?
I just feel like it wasn't really, like, I don't think it was, at a certain point, I think I came to a realization that it wasn't actually affecting me as much. It wasn't changing anything, even after deleting it. So that's why I was just like, well, might as well have it, might as well stay in the know of, my friends and family and, the church and all that stuff. And so.
Absolutely.
I can definitely, like, Snapchat has been gone for, I want to say, 4 or 5 years.
Wow.
I just didn't.
I've never been able to keep
vibe
Snapchat
with
on
it,
that
and I
long.
didn't really have any conversation with people on it, so I was just like, you know what, you gotta go.
There's no point.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
point in me having it, and
Yeah.
it's like I love not having Snapchat personally. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really go out much and like celebrate like that, to be like posting like, hey, Snapchat, let's go. Me and my friends are out here doing all this and that, and like chatting with people. I don't really do that. So I mean, that's one of the apps where I'm like, can go away.
Yeah.
And
That was Instagram for me. Like Instagram to me was all of the people I followed were just boasting about their life, and I was like, yeah, I don't really care. And so, I mean, as you know, I deleted it like it's got to be 6 years now or something like that. I deleted it back in high school, and I've downloaded it once to see where because I was told to look at a friend's Instagram.
okay.
And that was it. I deleted my account, and I haven't gone back since. If you find a Levi Rinkema account out there, it's not me. Fair warning.
We'll let the people know.
Share your secret, Levi. How do you stay off of social media for 6 years
Oh yeah.
and continue?
Well, for at least Instagram, I just didn't like it. I mean, that was Instagram. For stuff like things that for social media sites and things that I actually like, I've never been able to stay off of them for such a period of time. This is just something that I am. Like, this is just who I am as a person, is I can't monitor myself, which is a very, very bad habit that I have picked up. But I can't monitor myself. I can't control myself when it's something that I really love. Like, I love TikTok. Like, I am now full into One Piece. Like, I absolutely love the show. And when I'm scrolling on TikTok, it's just One Piece edit after another, after another, after another. And it's awesome. And I love it. And I can't control myself.
That algorithm knows that
Yeah.
keep you
And so
on the app.
for stuff like that, I just have to have others come in. And so right now it's my mentor. He has my password to it, so I can't even download. Like, I can't go on Twitter. I can't go on Reddit. I can't go on TikTok outside of the 30 minutes. Like, these are things that I've just given away control of because I can't control it. It's one of those things that I had to look at myself and realize, yeah, I am not that strong. I feel like I'm a strong guy. I'm a smart guy, but I'm not that strong or that smart. So, yeah, that's my very, very poor secret.
I get that. Is social media worth the side effects to our mental health? Like when we find ourselves falling into pits of depression because we compare ourselves to others, or when we are just lost in the spiral and just isolate ourselves. Like, is it worth the negative side effects?
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't think so. But I think it really comes down to knowing your triggers and knowing what you can and cannot handle. And I think if it takes so much of a hold of your mental health, then obviously easier said than done, but you should completely get off of it. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
But if you grow and learn to know when you can or cannot handle it, then, like, if you can handle it, then I think it's fine. But if you can't, then it's not worth it because it's just social media. I mean, you have a whole life outside of your phone, outside of social media.
Absolutely.
That's what's worth it. The relationships that you have, the job that you have, like the people that you love, and what your hobbies that you like, what you love to do. That's what matters, not social media.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and definitely, I feel like when you don't have social media, like if you spend a lot of time on social media and then you take that time away, you can definitely dive into new hobbies and do different things. Like if you ever wanted to learn an instrument, definitely hop and learn an instrument instead of spending that time on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, or just learn a different skill. Like it creates spaces for you to do other things. So that's just
I mean, obviously I feel like my perspective is pretty cut and dry, but absolutely not. I think there is very few things in this world that are worth more than our mental health. I would get rid of quite a few many things. Like, I am a huge reader. I love reading. It's definitely the nerdiest thing about me, but I would give up that in an instant. I would give up anything for my mental health because, and although I might not be able to do that, I would ask any of my friends at any time. Like, if you see me struggling, then take stuff away. Like, I can't, if my mental health is to the point where everything is negative and everything is taking away from my mental health, then nothing's worth it. Because at the end of the day, your mental health is the most important aspect of who you are, because it is who you are. And without that clarity, just at the base function of who you are, then I don't know. It's just not. Yeah. It's not worth it. Not for me. Not at all.
I know we kind of hit that in between, but like, as I said, like, should you be looking at others' social media? Rephrase the question. Should we be looking at social media to set goals based off others? We talked about it earlier, and how we compare us in the comparison game.
Kendall, you want to take this one?
It was hard. When I first read the question, it was kind of hard because originally I want to say yes, but at the same time, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I almost feel like we're gaslighting ourselves.
Dang.
Let me explain. Yeah. Because, like, I feel like it's not wrong to be motivated by other people. Like, if you look at someone who is in the gym, like 5 days a week, their diet's great, they look great, it's like, you can use that as motivation. It's like, hey, I want to get there. Yeah. I want to be there one day. But I feel like it's almost like you looking at them and setting goals based off of them and their life and where they're at is, at the end of the day, not like better than setting the goals for yourself. And I don't know, did the gaslighting
No, that
reference make sense?
definitely
No, yeah.
Like,
made
yeah,
sense.
yeah, because, yeah, I mean, I feel like when we look at people's lives, and the thing is, people make their lives look better than it actually is on Instagram or on
Yeah.
Facebook or whatever it is on TikTok.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're setting like
unrealistic
like goals, expectations, because we don't know what their life is like behind the camera. We just know what they're showing us. So I feel like at the end of the day, like your goal should be rooted in what you want,
Yeah.
like for yourselves.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you're not really gonna get to that goal if you're basing it off of someone else's life. If that goal is rooted from somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. I immediately was like, no. Yeah. When thinking about that question, I was like, no, not at all. We should never base goals on other social media. But like,
in reality.
I mean, we
It's-
kind of should in some certain scenarios. Like when I look at these professional bodybuilders, loving to go to the gym, loving to better myself, I'm like, wow, I kind of do want to look like him. And it's strictly social media. Like I love the way that they look, or I love the work ethic that they have in the gym. And so I feel like in instances of, although I really like what you said, that we need to come up with our realistic goals beforehand. And I think if we were to come up with realistic goals and then look towards social media to see what fits those goals and see how we can achieve it through that lens, I think that would be much healthier and an excellent way to kind of set goals based off others on social media, I guess in a positive way. But yeah, I really like that question a lot. Yeah.
I guess we'll just gravitate towards our last question, and it's: are there ways to navigate the balance between sharing online and maintaining your privacy, or should we just find ways to stay off social media in general?
Yeah, that's all, Kendall. You can. You got that. I got to think about that one.
You said balance?
Yeah, find like a balance. Because I know for some people it's either online all the time or they just can't handle it and are off of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, yeah, I mean, overall, it goes back to what I said on like what you can and cannot handle, like your triggers. If you're finding yourself on social media, let's say every day, and every single time you get off, you're left insecure. You're left comparing yourself to that person, envying that person. I think that's when you should really take a step back and think like, okay, should I just completely get off, or should I limit my time, or maybe I shouldn't follow that person because they make me feel this way.
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, because you were talking about people boasting,
Yeah.
I just love this phrase because my therapist told me, she said, nothing anybody ever does is about you, and the way that you react, that's huge. So like when you're on social media, yes, are some people a little more, boastful and
eccentric,
cocky
yeah.
and whatever you want to call it? Yeah, they are. But at the end of the day, like they don't care how you react. Yeah. They don't care if you're, insecure or that you're comparing. Yeah. They would probably love that. They'd probably eat it up. Like, oh, this person is jealous of me. Like I'm doing a good job.
Right.
So like, I think that your reaction is what matters, not what somebody's posting on Instagram.
Right.
So I'd say either limit your time. Like, what you can handle.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if you don't, you need to reevaluate.
Right. Be self-aware of
be self-aware.
What your limits are. Yeah.
So like either reevaluate and think, okay, I should probably just delete it altogether because I just can't handle.
Yeah.
And I think like the negative, because there was a question about the negative.
Yeah. The negative
about
side effects,
I think when you start questioning and asking yourself, like, am I good enough? And is my life good enough? That's when it's a problem.
Yeah.
That's that's when you should probably get off.
When we're finding our purpose in social media.
Yeah, like our identity,
absolutely.
and that's when it's a negative. That's when you should get off, probably.
For sure. I think a lot of what you said is huge. My number one note is, if need be, delete it. Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You're gonna be upset that you can't talk to your friends for a minute.
Yeah.
Like, there's definitely ways to navigate between sharing online and whilst maintaining your privacy. But when it comes down to it, like, if you got to be done with it, wash your hands of it.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, it's not that important.
True.
Your mental health is definitely top tier. But maintaining your privacy is also something that we didn't really talk a lot about. And I think that's really important. Like, there are parts of your life that should not be shared on social media. And not a lot of people know that. You don't need to say every single thing that you did that day and why.
Yeah.
Like, social media is to share the big moments for me. I'll tell the world, whenever X, Y, or Z happens. But for me, maintaining your privacy and happiness is much more important. So, yeah, finding your limits is huge. Finding where you are finding more value in what you're looking at rather than looking into yourself and seeing what's there. Like, you need to be able to know who you are before you scroll, I feel like.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely.
That's great.
I want to say something off of what Levi said.
Go ahead.
Like, just because I did it when I was younger, which is not, it's kind of embarrassing, but like, when I was a young teenager and like, I would post like about how I felt about like a situation or whatever. And I still see, which obviously I don't anymore, I've grown and I've matured, but I feel like a lot of people will post, like you said, things that they just shouldn't post, things that should be kept private.
Yeah.
Like, when you think of like all these influencers, these famous people, like, their divorces are being publicized.
Yeah.
Like, their private things.
The schedule of when they have their kids
It's
is
ridiculous.
everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like privacy, man. Like, these things need to be kept, and then like people posting about like, oh, like this person's fake or whatever. It's like,
Time out. Put your phone down. Go ahead and log off.
yeah, like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just deal with that, with
Outside,
yourself
yeah.
outside of social media.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I do feel like for a lot of people, it's become interpersonal. Like, it's become not about themselves, but like, how will people see me if I do this and do that? And if it's that way, that's fine. The things that matters is definitely keeping your mental health intact.
Yeah,
If you can't handle other people flaunting their stuff, delete the apps.
I did.
Yeah.
You just gotta get rid of it. Yeah.
Be gone.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's about it. But you guys have any final thoughts on the topic?
Man.
If you can handle it, use it. As a society,
Bottom
this
line.
world has created social media for a good purpose. All of this is created in goodwill, I believe. I don't think anyone created any of this to be like, you know what? We are going to subtly take down the cultural of the
Watch
world
the
and
world
destroy it. And I just don't think that's the case. I think this was all created in perfectly goodwill, and that it was meant to use, and it was meant to be a great thing.
Yeah.
And so I think everyone needs to find their balance. We need to find what we can handle. And so that's my last, I guess, piece of advice is find what you can handle, and what you can't, then take action towards that, because there's nothing more important than you. That's just what it comes down to. You are the most important thing in your world.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any last thoughts?
Man, I don't know. Just that one question, like, just to take something else from that, the question when I said the gaslighting,
Yeah.
like, I just feel like when it comes to social media, like, we are personally, like emotionally abusing ourselves. Like, no one's doing it to us. We're doing it to ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think if you, like he said, like, whether you need to know if you can handle it or not. I mean, it's just like social media is just not, it's great. It's good.
Yeah.
Great in concept.
But like,
It's just not it sometimes.
Yeah. It's just,
It's just not it sometimes.
it's just not it. So just like, no, like if you listen to this podcast and you've never like evaluated the pros and cons of social media, you need to, and especially if it's actually affecting you. So that's just my last thought. Thanks for having me.
Of course. This was pretty awesome. I definitely did love the conversation we had.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know. I'm going to do an outro.
Wrap.
That's a wrap.
Cut. Yeah, cool.
That's a
No,
wrap.
I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion on social media. It was fun to have Kendall here and have Levi here, and we just had a great conversation. You can find us on Instagram and X, formerly Twitter. I'm going to say that every single time because
It was.
at _ the Lifeboat and at the Lifeboat podcast on our YouTube, which this will be out on as well. And with that, always remember, you don't always have to be drowning. You can just hop on the lifeboat.